everybody. Hi, hello, hi, y'all, wherever you're from. Jomari, it's so good to see you. I'm super excited to be here with you. I haven't been on in a couple weeks, and I've just had a lot of other things kind of taking up my time. So I'm excited to be returning with you, and especially with our guest that we have this week. I don't have a name for this show, and I used to call it. Well, at one point I had something called Woman Warrior Wednesday, and I'm thinking about going back to that name. So you guys will have to drop me a note and let me know what do you think about that name, or help me come up with a title for the show. But I am Ruby Garcia, leadership and life coach and hypnotherapist, for those of you that might not know me. And every week I try to, most weeks, I have been absent for the last 2 weeks, but every week I'm on here just amplifying the voices of other Latinas doing great work and sharing stories, so that, our stories are being told, and we're, and I love topics that are kind of provocative and, disrupting and, breaking free from the status quo. And so I look for people who can kind of bring that. And I kept seeing YoMo, and all the places that we kept showing up at the same places. And I had already been following her on her Instagram. And so I knew a little bit about her. And then she had shared on LinkedIn. We went through LinkedIn and really started to exchange, go back and forth a little bit there and get to know each other, and then jumped out of Zoom. So just to say, leverage your networks and, have those virtual cafecitos, because you never know what they lead to. YoMo is someone that I instantly gravitated to, just because she has such a big heart and she shines so bright, and you just really can feel the love and the genuineness that comes from her. And so I knew from the very get-go it was gonna be like, an instant friend, and she has turned out to be a great amiga. And so I'm happy to introduce you to her today. So let me tell you a little bit about Jomari Castellano. All right, got it right. Who also goes by YoMo. And she is originally from Puerto Rico until the age of 7. So, Wepa. She is a first gen, so she definitely carries that resilient and determined spirit. And she is approaching her 4-year anniversary of sobriety after a 17-year battle with alcohol abuse. And she is also an alopecia warrior, and has been dealing with alopecia for the last 10 years. And she's really leveraged her personal experience to build not only a brand, but really a lifestyle around called Hair Loss Bonita, which is really about empowering women who are living with hair loss. And so this is, again, this is the stuff that we don't hear about, that's kind of hush hush, and we're kind of bringing surface so that we can, break some of the stigma that's attached to that. And and also for some of us, whether it's, hair loss or something else, there's a lot of things that get in the way of our self-worth. So, you fill in the blank, but this is all about really finding self-love, right? And so that's a lot of the work that she does. Recently, she came out as a female hair loss empowerment coach too. And she is helping her clients reclaim confidence, find their inner chingona. We love a good chingona, and thrive in just every aspect of their lives. And at the same time, she's trying to disrupt the beauty industry, breaking those standards, those unrealistic beauty standards, and helping women embrace their natural beauty, their unique beauty, and their strength. And this is I love this line. This kind of comes from her bio, but I just really love this because her work serves as a powerful reminder that every woman has the potential for transformation and success, irrespective of the challenges that they face. So I know I said a whole lot, and feel free wherever you're watching from, let us know, drop it in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. And, this is always an engaging conversation. So I invite you to comment, share your stories, ask questions. We love the engagement. But in the meantime, Yomo, tell me what else you would like to share. I kind of gave a snapshot, but I know there's so much more. So where does your journey for you really begin?
Well, thank you, first of all, for such a beautiful, warm, welcoming introduction. I think the world of you, Ruby. So to be here on your Warrior Wednesday, Mujer Wednesday, like I am so honored. And it's really a privilege to just share space with you and your amazing audience. So we're here talking about, right, unrealistic beauty standards, breaking all the stigmas. And for me, with my journey with hair loss and beauty, but also breaking the stigma around sobriety, recovery, and so forth. So, if you don't mind, like letting your hair down right now, because if we're gonna have a real conversation, your hair
You
down.
want me to let it down?
Yeah, let your hair down. I'm gonna take my wig off. So
Hey,
we're
everybody,
for real.
take your hair down wherever you're listening, but take it down. I got all these clips in my hair.
Thank you for joining me. I'm channeling Wednesday Adams right now with my little.
Yay, I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh. So what led me to this path? I mean, it's been a crazy journey. As you mentioned, after 17 years of alcohol abuse, just making that decision to love and respect myself. I mean, I lost my father when I was 8 years old to drugs and alcohol. So for me to make that decision and also to be close to celebrating 4 years this June 28th means the world to me. So as you can imagine, I've suffered a lot, and I know that we all have had our battles, we've all had our struggles, and maybe we're still deep in it, and that's okay. But for me, after so many years of rock bottoms, I made the decision to just really love myself, because as someone who loves to spread love everywhere I go, I had no idea that I lacked self-love. So once I made that decision and I got help, of course, because that's not a journey that one can go by themselves, that's when my self-love journey began. And let me tell you, ooh, it has been the most beautiful journey. It's led me to the place where I call home, which is me. Um,
Oh, that's so good. I mean, you're already dropping the gems. That is so good.
it's a level of just like a piece of the self-love liberation, and I'm getting goosebumps, y'all, as I'm sharing this, the type of feeling that I would love everyone to have. And so so combine that with my hair loss journey. So as you mentioned, I've battled with alopecia hair loss for the past 10 years and recently diagnosed with androgenetic alopecia, which is genetic. And that has been another source of just pain and suffering and loneliness,
Yeah.
which was the same path with my alcohol abuse. And so I decided to create Hair Loss Bonita, which is a brand and a movement that helps women who are experiencing hair loss, regardless of what background it is, whatever the type of hair loss is, to help you reclaim your confidence, empower yourself, like step into that chingona that you are. Because I know that sometimes, right? I'm sure you can relate when you're going through a hard part in your life, like you tend to retrieve, you tend to just like crawl into a ball. I don't know about you, but that was my case. You no longer want to socialize, you're no longer yourself, you're not taking part in the things that you usually do. So it's been such an incredible journey for me to create this brand and movement, porque when I was first looking for other mujeres to connect with in the hair loss world, I didn't find anyone, any Latina, mind you, let me correct myself, any Latina that was out here in the internet streets, specifically Instagram, talking about hair loss. And I'm like, wait a minute. I know I'm not the only one, right? So I'm gonna throw some stats your way. So did you know that about 50% of women will experience hair loss at some point in their life?
Wow, I didn't know it was that high.
Right. So if it's that high, why are we not talking about hair loss? Why are we not talking about just, you know, destigmatizing that, destigmatizing alternative hair, because this is what it is an accessory, sort of like when you get your lashes done or your nails did or whatever. It's totally an accessory. So why are we not talking about it? Because the truth is that there are a lot of women who are suffering in silence, right?
Mhm.
So that, along with my own personal struggles, led me to create Hair Loss Bonita, because I wanted to create a space where Latinas and other women of color could see themselves represented. Don't get me wrong, there were a lot of women who I came across on Instagram that were showing their gorgeous thinning hair like mine, or their gorgeous bald heads or patchy hair, and rocking it, owning it, and also wearing their wigs. And I thought, like, whoa, this is amazing. And I knew how transformative it was for me, because I remember one day watching one video in particular. Her name is Kelly. She goes by Hair Loss Boss, and she owns that handle. Like, she really, is a hair loss boss. Just her transformation from, wearing her natural hair to her wig, and then vice versa. I remember telling myself, you know what? One day I'm going to be that confident. And so if I understood how powerful it was, porque representation matters, ¿verdad?
Mhm.
We know this. Representation matters. I'm like, okay, I would love to connect with other women on Instagram and all over the world that are experiencing this, and just create a space where we can just let our hair down and be ourselves and empower each other. And I'm telling you, it has changed my life. I mean, you mentioned it. I've recently announced that I'm a female hair loss empowerment coach and advocate. So I am working with women on personalized coaching, helping them just really transform their self-esteem, porque it makes a difference. Like,
Mhm.
when you own your story, when you
Yes.
own who you are, gente, it is like nothing can stop you, honestly.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. So let
it's
me ask you this, and I love this because now I'm thinking like let your hair down has a whole new meaning because it's also just about being authentic, right? And like removing the mask that we hide behind. But let me ask you this because I imagine that the process wasn't like, okay, I've discovered or I've been diagnosed with alopecia and I don't see representation out there, so let me get on Instagram and share my story. There was probably some stuff that happened in between, I imagine, right?
yes.
So and I'm not quite sure because I know I didn't scroll all the way back through your the very beginning of your IG, but at what point did you share the process from the very beginning as you were going through it, or was it after you developed some confidence that you decided to go out there? So tell us about that, what that process was like for you, because ooh, that's I imagine with any life transition, there's a process.
Amiga, that's such a great question. You're just dropping all the amazing questions. Thank you so much. It was a process, and it has been a process. Let's just say the type of hangover that I'm like navigating these days are vulnerability hangovers, all right? Because sharing takes a lot of courage. And for me, as a helper through and through, I love helping. I love loving on others. I knew that by me sharing, it would help others, right? Others with their hair loss journey, whether it's acceptance and things like that. So I started to share
Mm-hmm.
poco a poco, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but I knew for me is that if I felt so much better by seeing other women sharing, then I would love to be able to do that for others. And I know that when it comes to speaking up about hair loss, I'm not asking folks to get on social media, do a giant PSA, things like that. No, 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 right? Every single one of us has a role in helping break the stigma and helping educate others. I mean, it's a community, it's a collective effort. So for me, it's sharing, right? For you, Ruby, giving me the opportunity, this platform to raise awareness about hair loss, right? Whether it's alopecia, whether it's hormonal, whether it's medication, whether it's postpartum, whether stress related, there's so many different reasons why we experience hair loss. So bring it up to the forefront and normalizing something that is normal. For me, it's important to take my wig off. And it took me a while. The time that I have built up the courage to do that was last October. I think it was like October 29th at the Mujero Movement event in Phoenix, Arizona. Mujero Movement, it's an amazing community by my friend Sonia Saunders. And so she hosted a space where there were like 100 mujeres there. And I thought to myself, I was one of the speakers she had. She was playing like, had us play our music, a song that kind of gets us hyped up. And I chose uh, Bichota, my girl G. So, I was like, I got to represent. So we had, before walking into the space, just came randomly. I'm like, you know what? And this is my journey. And for me, it was important to just take off my wig and show my thinning hair and own it.
Yeah. And that was a 10-year process, right? Because
That was well, the thing with my hair loss is that it's been a slow thinning process.
Okay.
So the first time that I went to the dermatologist was back in 2013. And they said that because of my divorce, because I was 2 years after my divorce, because you're going through a very tough, life situation, it happens, you'll grow your hair back. But the truth is that it never really did.
And
Both kept, thinning over the years.
yeah, and what was it like to get that diagnosis for you? Because I know, and you can tell the audience a little more about some of the other different roles that you play that I think, well, it may or may have been also had an impact, a different flavor, I guess, of impact because of the other things that you were doing in terms of the work in the industries that you were working in. So can you tell us about what, when you heard that, what was the experience like? Like, what did you think it meant for you? Because now, like, we're seeing this version of you, right, 10 years later, through this process, and you're, come across completely confident, you can tell there's a lot of self-love and acceptance. But in those first moments, what was that like?
Ooh, amiga, you're getting to the gist parts. Yes. So the real part about that journey, about that experience was like that it was awful. It was awful because there came a point where there were a lot of scalp showing, and it made me feel unworthy. It made me feel ugly AF. It made me feel like my partner would no longer find me attractive, that my family and friends would be embarrassed to be seen by me. And mind you, I've lost, over the span of 10 years, I've lost about 70% of my hair. So I look, different. It was really painful. I thought that my acting and modeling career was over, that nobody would want to hire someone with their thinning hair. It was tough. I cried a lot. I suffered quite a bit. But I knew that given my sobriety journey and turning to community and being reminded that I can do hard things, I knew that I would get to that place, right? And seeing other women on Instagram, again, representation matters. Seeing them, being around others that look like me was so empowering. And I knew that was a matter of time. I was really patient with myself. Like I said, I cried a lot. I questioned my future, was just very uncertain when it came to my modeling and acting career, and just like how I would live my life. Because there were times where I didn't really even like looking at myself in the mirror because of my hair, So it was a very painful process. It's still, I've fully accepted it, right? One of my favorite quotes is by Eckhart Tolle. He's I think, Canadian author, thinker. He wrote, "Accept, then act." So whatever the present moment, and I wrote it down, contains, accept it as if you had chosen it. Always work with it, not against it. Make it your friend and ally, not your enemy. This will miraculously transform your life.
Oh man, that is so good. I hope y'all caught that one. because yes, I'm familiar with Eckhart's work, and I know a lot of, what's talked about is our attachment gets in the way.
Yes. But also the beauty standards, right?
Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
who made these up? That's the question that I always ask myself. Who made up these beauty standards? And who says that we have to abide by it, right? I truly believe that if in the media, movies, everywhere, we see more representation of women that look different in all their gorgeous glory, life would be different. You wouldn't have so many women feeling less than, keeping them, the hair loss, keeping them from living day to day, going to their children's events. I've heard
Mhm.
about that. Or a woman who has worn wigs for years and her husband doesn't know about it, right? Or one, thinking that, oh, I'm going to lose my hair because of, health, reasons, and I'm going to look like a monster. That's why I do this work. I'm extremely passionate. I don't know if you can tell,
Just
pero
a
I'm
little.
here, yes, like just trying to smash these stigmas, porque as they say, hablando se entiende la gente. When people talk, you understand each other. So let's educate folks about hair loss, female hair loss, and the fact that wearing alternative hair is acceptable. It's so fun. The celebrities wear it. So if they can have fun, why can't we? Right?
Absolutely, yeah. And I saw you rocking that glitter hair at the Lizzo concert, right?
Pencil wig. Hey, I was Lizified that day, okay? I was ready to, jam to her music. That was also another experience. Oh my gosh. Any Lizzo fans here? Let me know.
Yeah, let's know your Lizzo fans. Yeah, that looked amazing, and you'll have to go to Yomo's Instagram, which is Hair Loss Bonita, right? Hair Loss Bonita.
Yes.
Hair Loss Bonita. But you'll see that Lizzo even photobombed your video there, which is pretty amazing.
That was quite an experience. For me, that was more than a show. That was a do-over for me. So back in 2019, that was the day that I had my last drink. Actually, it was at the Lizzo show at the Milwaukee Summerfest. And the sad part is that for many years, not for many years, sorry, for many months, I was looking forward to seeing Lizzo. I love her. I love her music. It has really taught me to love and accept myself as I am and own it. So come to, it was a June 2019, the day of the show. And amiga, I drank so much that I was pretty much blackout drunk. And this wasn't a new thing. This is kind of like been a pattern for me for a while, just really abusing alcohol and binge drinking. I woke up the next day with like the worst hangover, with so many regrets. And I remember just trying to remember the show and I couldn't, sadly. So I looked at my phone. I had all these amazing videos of Lizzo. I was front row center, looked like I had a good time, but sadly, I don't remember. So fast forward to 2023, a few weeks back, I had the most beautiful do-over of my life. And I'm so grateful for it because my father, who I mentioned, I lost to drugs and alcohol when I was 8, he didn't have a do-over. And neither did his dad, who died, earlier than he should have because of his alcoholism and things like that. And who knows how many other generations back also, right? With their alcoholism or alcohol abuse and things like that. To be able to be there, it was, I mean, it was so magical. It was like a love fest, okay? The place was packed. And I remember just being there, feeling everything. And I'm like, wow, this is the gift of being present for me.
Mhm.
This is a gift of sobriety for me. And to know that I get to feel all of the range of emotions, the good ones, the not so good ones, the challenging ones, and still be okay, and allow even the challenging feelings to help me become a better human. And that photo bomb, I mean, I don't know. Is this life? Like, how does that happen? The fact that this place was packed, right? And I don't know about you, amiga, but I like to take selfies at concerts with like the, artists in the background, or if I'm traveling with a famous monument or whatever, just so that I can say, hey, I was there. And in that moment, I remember just kind of going up and grabbing my phone to take a selfie. And all of a sudden, I see her in my phone doing this, and I lost my mind. I started screaming. I'm like, how is this live? How for her, it was like a very normal thing that she probably does. But for me, it meant the world. I'm like, wow, the
But
universe
it's
loves
almost like it's a sign. It's a sign, right?
sign. It is such a beautiful sign, and it's a night I'll never forget. And those feelings I can turn back to, and just I anchored all of that goodness. I bottled it up so that every day I can recall those feelings. I know that every day I can show up as the badass chingona that I am, that I don't need to take BS from anybody, that I get to be me. And when it comes to beauty, when it comes to hair loss, I believe that every single one of us is the mold of
Mm,
beauty.
yeah. Yeah, that is it's so good. I one of the things in talking to you that really stand out to me is how vulnerable you are, right? And it's just like you are really vulnerable about how you are, and like a lot of your Instagram is very positive and uplifting, but you get on there and get real too, and you tell it like it is, and you talk about the hair loss journey not being a linear journey. And you've been on there shedding some tears before too. And I think why I find this particularly striking is because as Latinas, a lot of time we've been taught that vulnerability is a weakness. When really, especially I think I can't think of anyone better that exemplifies this, where you show up as your full self, you show up vulnerably, and that's your superpower.
Thank you. Thank you. This is just how I know how to live. Just being honest, being transparent, being myself. I feel like I'm becoming more of myself as I continue to do this personal work, which I have to say, shout out to my therapist, for Leah, and previous therapists Kathleen and Jenny, who have helped me get to a place where I embrace who I am, that I've been able to work through a lot of trauma and pain, because also as a community we don't also talk about mental health, right? And for me, therapy, which another thing that has been hard AF, and it still is. Pero I am so much better for it. We are all so much better for it, because it's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Becomes the best version of themselves and keeps spreading love and showing up. And my goal is, by showing up authentically, hopefully others gives themselves their permission to show up as themselves. I'm like, please share your story. Please shine your light so that others do the same, especially when it comes to things that are so stigmatized, like hair loss, wigs, sobriety. We don't talk about alcohol abuse, alcoholism, substance abuse. Not only that, pero that no matter what difficulty we're going through in our lives, there's help, there's support, there's community, right? There's no
Mhm.
such thing as self-made, or this big ass lie that we're taught. Oh, Miss Independent. No, that's baloney. That is BS. Like, unsubscribe to that. Unsubscribe to that, because with everything that I've been through in my life, I am here because of my communities that I have been a part of, because they have poured onto me. They have accepted me as I am. They have just been part of this healing journey, right? We are
Mhm.
human beings. We need each other. So finding that support, finding that those people, those helpers that will help you keep forward. Like for me, I'm so lucky I have you on my corner, Ruby, and you're stuck with me forever. Ya sabe, anything you I hopefully, si Dios quiere, I will meet this summer in Chicago, but
Yeah.
have to, like, again, reach out, ask for help. There's no better thing, no bigger sign of strength than saying, hey, Can you support me? I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
And
That is just, if there's a, I mean, there's so many things I want everyone to take away, but that is definitely something that I want people to take away from this, is that it is okay to ask for help, and your journey is your journey. Wherever you are, it's okay. And find people that will support you. Find community, right? You don't need a lot of people. You just need a few people. I know the same thing when I've gone through real hard struggles. I mean, there was a season in my life where I felt like I couldn't even hold myself up. And I had a good group of girlfriends, and they just, like, I would not have been able to do it without them, right? Like, they just supported me, they loved me, they couldn't fix everything, but they just witnessed me and stood by me and kept reminding me that this was just a season and that they loved me, and that was everything that I needed in that moment. And so it's really important, find those people. And I'm a big advocate for therapy too. I've gone to therapists, you know, pretty much all my life, on and off, depending on what was going on. It was one of the best gifts my mom ever gave me, was the permission to find outside help and get the resources I needed. And so, do that inner work. It is hard, but along community, you'll get so much farther. And it's in community that we heal too. I really do believe that. I believe it's in community that we heal. It's not we can only take our own healing so far alone, but we really need other people to help facilitate that.
thank you so much for sharing, your, challenging moments in your life. I think that we don't talk about these enough, and you see people on social media, they look like, they have it all together, que tienen una vida perfecta, perfect life. And the truth is, like, no, we all have something. And so just being honest with ourselves and understanding that getting help is a sign of strength, that we are better for it. And you see me here, and yeah, you mentioned, you are vulnerable, self-love and things like that. I'm like, this is like 10 years plus of therapy. This is like, working with a life coach. This is all the hard work that I put in. Yes, there were supporters, yes, there were guys, but I had to make a decision to change, because now I think about how I'm living my life and thinking about, what do my descendants need of me right now as an ancestor, right?
Mm.
To be a disruptor. Con esto de beauty standards, baloney, nope, nah, let's see more representation, right? Or, hey, there's no shaming in someone who is abusing alcohol, because we as a society like to glamorize alcohol, right?
Oh yeah.
These are places and resources that you can go to where people will love on you, right? Someone who can be good about setting boundaries, right? Practicing self-love. It's a journey, right? The self-love is not a destination, it's a journey. We have to practice it every day of our lives. And
Yes.
everyone who's watching this, I just want you to know that you are so worthy of love, of
Mm.
peace, of all of the goodness in the world, no matter what you have been through. I know that I have shared some things, but there's so much more that I could share. Pero mira, we can't be victims of our situations. Grieve whatever it was that happened. Get help. Pero sabe que on the other side, oh, what waits you, honey? What waits you? I'm telling you. Oh, seriously. It's
That's a sermon. That's a sermon right there. And you know what, and that, so often I love that you bring up, therapy as part of self-care, or working with coaches or doing the inner work, because so often I think self-care gets consumerized. And so we think it only means, like, and that, not that there's anything wrong, what, you know I love a good massage, or to get my nails done or whatever, and that can be self-care. It certainly can be a form of self-care if you really feel like you need it, but it's so much more than that. It's also setting boundaries. It's also saying no. It's also, putting non-negotiables in place. It's so much more than that. It's, looking at like, what is it that I need today? And how do I meet those needs for myself? Right.
Absolutely. No, it's really critical because I think that sometimes, or as women, we're sort of taught, oh, that's self-care, that's really selfish. Oh, no. We have to first give to ourselves before we give to others. Let's unsubscribe to that too. The
Yeah.
fact that, oh, we need to do we're not saviors. Nobody is. It's
And
not
you
our
can't pour from an empty cup, you got to fill your own cup, and then you pour from the overflow. You
Mhm.
pour from the overflow. Right?
It's everybody benefits from that. Everybody benefits when one practices self-love, practices boundaries, and really communicates what it is that they need and takes care of themselves. Because looking back, for example, for me and who I was 4 years ago, it's like night and day. And it's all because of, for me, therapy, community, doing that inner work, and all of this. Like, and the other one too is like self compassion. Be your best friend, be your
Mm.
number one best friend, right? Because that self talk, ooh, that can make or break your life and your dreams, right? How do you, when you look at yourself in the mirror, how do you talk to yourself?
That's huge. What do you think was the biggest, kind of the biggest breakthrough, I guess, in all of this? Like, I look back and I was just thinking about this morning. I was thinking about, uh, I was writing content, and I was thinking about some hard truths, and for myself, and from what I hear from different clients. And one of the things that I really think, looking back on my own life, what was one of the hardest truths was realizing that I, very much had a victim mentality, and I was the victim to a lot of the circumstances around me. And it was like I got divorced, and that you know led to financial issues, and just like, right, it impacts every area of your life. And and I would blame him, my ex-husband, because he did XYZ or whatever. And it's not to say that there were things done wrong on both parts, really, right? Because a relationship takes two. But that the biggest aha for me, or that hard truth that I had to face myself, was that I was in victim mode. And I believe one of the things that where we can really gain back our power is by taking 100% radical responsibility. So, and that was hard. That was really hard to really look at it and be like, everything in my life is a sum of the choices that I made or didn't make, and this is why I am where I am right now. And it was sobering. That thought was sobering. For you, what was the biggest breakthrough that you kind of had to face within yourself?
Mm. First of all, let's celebrate you. Let's celebrate you.
Oh, you,
And
that's me.
seriously, though, that is huge because when we go through difficult times in our lives, it's so easy to fall into that victim mentality. And the fact that you worked through it and that you did not let it stop you from being the best version of you that you can be for for yourself, for your family, and for everybody. So yes, we are celebrating you, Ruby. You're amazing. You're so amazing. So the biggest breakthrough for me, and not like diving into that victim mentality, is that the question? Uh, well, just
I mean, it might not have been victim mentality. Maybe it was something else for you.
mhm,
I'm just curious, kind of like, what was the biggest breakthrough where it was like the aha moment of like,
yeah,
changing this one mindset or
sure.
limiting belief or whatever. It was like, whoa, it opened up so much other things for you.
Well, I think for me, it was knowing that I am the jefa of my own life, regardless of the circumstances that I've navigated in my life. I could have easily said, for example, when I was younger, oh, I'm not going to study abroad because I come from a low income household and da 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 da. Or, oh, well, I'm not going to go to college or whatever, because no one in my life went to college. Like, we have to take responsibility for our lives. It is no one else's responsibility to care for you. I mean, it has to come from within. And I understand that sometimes when we're going through struggles, like I also went through a divorce, it's not like, oh, you're going to sign the papers and the next day you're going to be like, yes, I'm going to overcome this and that. No, we have to sit with our feelings. As they say, we have to heal it, or we have to feel it in order to heal it, right? We have to
Mm.
acknowledge.
Yeah, I can get one that one. Feel it to heal it. That's right.
Yes, we have to feel it to heal it. We have to acknowledge our feelings and sit with them and deal with them in a healthy way, not like how I did with abusing alcohol, pero finding, the healing coping mechanisms that work for us. Find our community, find our people, find our own self-care, self-love rituals, whether it's going on hikes or practicing yoga, meditation, mindfulness, therapy, journaling, connecting with others in the community that you're part of. For me was hair loss and my like sober community, but just knowing that what is going on with us is our personal responsibility, no one else's, but that there's a whole world out there that wants you to succeed, wants you to live life fully. And so if you allow yourself that, you can come out better the other side. But we have to take responsibility for our lives and not be, because who's that going to serve, having that victim mentality, keeping ourselves from doing XYZ because, oh, it was so and so's fault. You're taking away your power.
Yeah.
When you think that way, when you're pointing fingers, maybe it's issues with your parents, maybe it's a divorce or whatever. You can be bitter, but guess what? The only person who that is impacting is you, not anyone else. Be angry, feel all the feelings, pero también don't live there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Balance.
I do think that grief is one of the most overlooked emotions that we experience. In fact, in every single coaching group that I facilitate, we always cover a session on grief. And that is because it's so unspoken about in our culture, I feel like, and more in just like American culture. It's funny because my stepdad is American, and then I have my Mexican side of the family. And so when you go to a funeral on the American side of the family, no one's crying, no, everyone's like fine. And I remember going to a funeral for was actually a friend who was Mexican, and it was like people were throwing themselves on the casket, and there were mariachis, and it was like mourning out loud, and it was just a very different collective experience. There was no holding back, right? And but I always think of grief is one of those things that if we don't actually feel it to heal it, as you say, it is still there. We just operate over it, and it will show up in other ways. We get stuck, we get depressed, we get lonely. And so that's why I feel like that's such an important topic to deal with. And it's not just the grief of the loss of a person, a thing, a job, a home, whatever it is, a relationship, but there's also the loss of identity. Hair, yes, the hair, absolutely, the hair loss, but there's also a loss of identity that goes with it, right? There's a loss of a part of ourselves that also that we grieve, and we have to give ourselves permission to grieve that, and as well as grieving the expectation or dreams that maybe didn't come fulfilled. And I think we bypass it because we are because it's painful. Like we don't want to feel pain. We want to feel better. And so maybe we turn to alcohol, maybe we turn to sex, drugs, Netflix, social media, whatever, in order to numb that pain, when the thing to do is really is to sit with it and be with it and go through it. And anyone going through any kind of life transitions, I really encourage taking extra practices around self-love, but also therapy. I know, my brother passed away. I think this year is 17 years. But he passed away when he was 24 and I was 27. And I did 2 years of grief therapy. And I'm so much better for it because I can have a conversation about him and it doesn't mean I'm breaking down in tears, right? Like I can look at all the good that we had. And so I just want to encourage anyone listening that's going through different life experiences that are hard, find community, find someone to talk to. Don't do it alone, be with others, and be with your feelings too.
That's such an important topic that you bring up. Thank you so much, Ruby. And I'm so sorry about the loss of your brother. Um, Processing grief and just feeling our feelings and going through that and acknowledging what you're going through is so important. I think that for me, as I reflect on grief, if I would have grieved my father when I was 8, 9 years old, I think that my life would have been different. Because I think that, and I'm not sure, at least I can speak from my experience, we have like this like resilient mentality, echa pa'lante, like keep going forward, keep going forward.
Mhm.
But I mean, it's okay to move forward when we're ready to, when we sit with our grief, when we acknowledge what we're going through, when we move through those emotions, because they get stuck in our bodies.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so the ways that I was showing up in my life, it has a lot to do with not acknowledging what happened to my father and how he passed and just the things that happened before then. Right. So that level of awareness, that level of self-care, of self-love is so important, whether, like you said, you lost a loved one, whether it's a transition in your life with identities and things like that. Grieving that for me also with my hair, it is a loss, hair loss.
Yeah.
So understanding that what I'm going through, the range of emotions that come with loss, just acknowledging it and moving through it and knowing that the pain will subside poco a poco, but we have to allow ourselves to feel it. We should give ourselves the gift of allowing someone else, like a professional, to hold space for us while we share, while we cry. I mean, I'm like number one Llorona here. I'm a highly sensitive person and I own it. I am proud. I'm surprised I haven't cried today. I feel like I've had like 3 other podcast interviews. I'm like crying. I'm like, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I don't care. Like, this is me. I feel things deeply.
Oh yeah, we cried on our Zoom call.
I did. We both did. And it's a beautiful thing. I own it. It's okay. Pero just again, we don't have to be, you know what strong looks like? When we ask for help.
Yes.
Strong. Oh, no llores.
Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah, it means like just taking care of ourselves, because when they tell it, no llore, no llore, I'm like, excuse me, yeah, so yo voy a llorar. It's okay. It's fine. Sometimes people just don't know what to do with me because maybe they're just not used to people showing them, their feelings. It's okay.
Yeah.
When we were vulnerable, when we allow ourselves to be seen, that's the true connection. That's when you really connect on such a deep, beautiful level, right? Because, for example, maybe some folks who are watching right now, they can say, oh, wow, I identify with you, YoMo. I also lost a loved one to drugs and alcohol. Or, oh, YoMo, I'm also going through hair loss. Or, I grew up in the projects in Puerto Rico, or whatever. So you can make some really deep heart-to-heart soulful connections with people, and you just never know what these beautiful relationships would look like. I mean, you and I connecting here, I seriously can't wait to meet you in person and give you a giant hug. The fact that we are, here supporting each other como mujeres, como Latinas, it's amazing. And you just never know, again, just by that mere connection, how we can love and support each other. Because I mean, I'm so inspired by you, Ruby, and the ways that you show up here in LinkedIn and all of the spaces and your leadership and all of that. So I basically am saying this because I'm appointing you as a mentor, just putting it out there. No pressure. It's like we're here to love and support each other.
Yeah, and we need each other. And everybody has their magic. That's the thing, is everybody has their magic. And so you got to bring it, right? Like you have your gifts, and it's up to each, like I truly believe that it's each one of us has a responsibility to share our gifts because someone else out there needs it.
Yes, please don't be selfish. Please share your gifts. That's what we're meant to do, to discover them and to give them away, because a life of generosity and love is just, it's really a full life. I often think about that. You know, I don't know about you, but I often think about death. And I know some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, que loca. It's okay. It helps me live with purpose. So
Yes.
what I do is I think, and this started like back when I was 17 years old. I don't even know where that came from, but my partner's like, babe, you're like doing meditation. He's a Tibetan Buddhist. Tobias, my partner. I have to ask myself, like, okay, would I live my life differently if I had 3 months to live? Right? And if the answer is yes, let's make a change. And if you feel comfortable, if you have to go today or tomorrow, then that's good. But we have to live our lives fully, not let anything, not let our background, our struggles keep us in prison, right? In our own thoughts, like liberation, self-love. It's available to every single one of us. So
yeah, the problem is we think we have time. That's the problem, right? We don't live with urgency. We don't live with urgency because we think we have time.
Right? Urgency and intentionality, and
Ooh,
just
yeah, that's so good.
present, right?
Yeah.
For me, like when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to have another day. And I get to the first person I see is my partner. I'm like, oh, what a gift. Or when he comes home, you know, from work, or we reconnect, I'm like, oh, or just even talking to you, oh, this is amazing. It really feels my life with so much joy. So maybe come up with a list of the things that bring you joy and then get after them. There's so much that we can do to live life fully, live life authentically, and say no to the BS societal standards, because guess what? We each get to write what those standards are, and that's how we live our lives authentically, unapologetically, being ourselves and being the mold of all the things, because we all get to define beauty, we all get to define success, we all get to write out how we want to live our lives. But also, again, how will your descendants look back and be like, oh my gosh, Ruby, she was so amazing and she inspired me to just be the most amazing human that I can be and give freely and live freely. So let's live our lives with intention and really fully, because life is beautiful. Life is so beautiful. It can be.
Yeah.
In spite of all of the challenges and all of the BS and all of the junk that we have been through, it can still be beautiful. There's a lot of beauty out there.
Yeah. And I think, we see, when we talk about like grief and pain and, different tragedies, it's also because of those that we can see the beauty more clearly.
Yes.
Right? And experience the joy more fully because we know what it is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Yes. 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 I feel like when I see people, when I meet someone, depending on how they show up, I'm like, they've been through some stuff. They've done some inner work, and look at them shining. Like I recently met someone, and I remember just thinking the world of them, the way that they show up with so much energy and love and da da da. Later found out that they have like a live, como te digo, like a disease that they were recently diagnosed that will affect them and the way that they show up in their lives physically. I'm obviously being vague for a reason, pero once they told me that, I'm like, that says a lot. That I knew that there was something there that made them just, I don't say, like just like living life like it was the last day that there would be on this earth. So
yeah. And I could talk to you for hours, like for real.
Yeah.
And Y'all, I'm just saying this. I'm going to tell you right now that my goal is to get a podcast going this year, and I'm gonna bring you back, Yomo, because I have so many more questions around confidence, around beauty standards. I mean, I could talk to you for hours. I do want to ask you that, and I'm going to ask you this last one. If you have a couple minutes to hang.
Of course, let's
Okay.
do
All
it.
right. So one of the questions, because we didn't go into this as much, and I always take these conversations natural and organic and let it go. But let's talk about beauty standards really quick, because there's a lot of beauty standards out there. Y'all listening, mujeres, that, like, whether it's the makeup, the hair, the what we dress, weight, how we speak, like, just the list can go on, right? And it can be exhausting to try to fit into those, right? I mean, if you're aging like me, with the grays,
I love it.
A whole, last month I told you I didn't have time to go before this conference. I'm gonna have all my grays, and I just, wore it anyways, with the grays. But when we talk about beauty standards, I'm really interested in your perspective on this. Is like, what do you think the beauty industry needs to do differently, or acknowledge? Because I mean, I love like eyeshadow and makeup, and I mean, I don't wear it every day. I'm not the type of person that needs to. I can't leave the house without it or whatever. But I do like, I enjoy the process of doing all of that, and I know that media and commercials and advertisements can, have a negative impact on women and the way they feel about themselves. So what kind of suggestions would you have to the beauty industry?
That's a really deep question. I just think representation, for instance, in the hair space, like for me, that's really important. Is I would love to see women with the different hair spectrum. So someone like me, and that's why, like I said, it's important for me when I have these conversations that I come up with two looks, right? I come up with my wig, but I also share with you my thinning hair, because in order for us to break stigmas, in order for us to show others and have them see themselves, then we need to show it. So thinning hair, patchy hair, gorgeous bald folks, people of different abilities and all of that. I also think that these commercials that we see on TV about cremitas and anti-aging, how about we first of all include men in that, if that's going to be a thing, and why attack women?
That's so true.
The day that you see a man on a cremita commercial, that'll be the day. Okay. So I would love to see that. But also, I would love to see women and folks pro-aging, like advocates. I would love to see representation of people who embrace their wrinkles. And that's something that I'm working on. I'm 43 and I'm seeing them more. And instead of hating myself because of them, my practice, what I've been doing is celebrating them. Why? Because, for example, my dad passed away when he was 26.
Oh, he was so young.
He didn't make it to 43. And here we go. Ruby, you know it was going to happen. So he didn't get to, live to be 43. So it's like, why not celebrating, right? Why not celebrate it? Like, this is another thing that society, teaches us to hate ourselves. Like, oh, well, if we don't have, like our boobs perky enough, the wrinkles, que si la cana. Who says that all those things aren't beautiful? It's part of the aging process. Isn't the goal to grow older? I'm not saying to let yourself go. If you like to take care of yourself, you have your skincare regimen, please do so. But don't do it because you feel like you have to look a certain way. Yeah. And with the wrinkles, again, or showing up with makeup or not, don't feel, especially as women, feel the pressure that oh, I have to wear makeup because I'm going on, I'm doing like a live or doing something. And I see that a lot on my Hair Loss Bonita Instagram page. Women apologizing. Oh, well, I'm using a filter because I'm not wearing any makeup and I have that fill in the blank. And it's like, no, mija, you're gorgeous just as you are. You're amazing. You're chingona just as you are because you
Mhm.
exist. Thank you. You are a gift to this world.
Yeah.
So just balancing all of these things out and not having one specific how about the message be love yourself? How
Yeah.
about the message be again, you are the mold of beauty. Insert yourself here in this ad because we all are. We are all the examples of beauty, of resiliency, of chingonanas.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
yes, and not tying our self-worth to any of these standards is the other
Right.
thing, right?
Our self-worth, our femininity, all of those things, because when we don't have the makeup or the hair loss, like we don't think that we're feminine enough. And also, what is the femininity? What does that mean? What does the definition mean, right? So I would just love to see messages of just self-empowerment. Right now, as you're watching this, you are worthy, you are perfect just the way that you are. You have everything within you and you don't need anything to fix anything. Like, we don't. ¿Pa qué?
Yeah. Oh, such a good message. I appreciate you so much for sharing your story. And again, we're gonna get you in another like a podcast here, season one in the fall, because really I could just talk to you, and I know we are just um skimming the surface here, right? Just skimming the surface, because I had other things that I was thinking about and we didn't even get to it, but um, we'll definitely have you back. So tell us, Yoma, where can you're coaching now, so people can hire you, hire Yomo, and you have your movement on Instagram. So where can people find you? Tell us where they can learn more.
Yes. So I was going to drop the link on here, but for some
Yes.
reason I can't. No say if you can, if you could do me
Yes.
a favor.
Yes.
But yeah, y'all can find me right now on Instagram at Hair Loss Bonita. I am working on some exciting things. I know you mentioned that I am offering one-on-one female hair loss empowerment coaching that I am offering. So if you know someone that could benefit from this, again, it's all about reclaiming that confidence, igniting that inner chingona, and just thriving in every aspect of their lives. With so many people being affected by hair loss, I'm sure that you know someone that does. But I think that also just mentioning that I am a mindset and empowerment coaching with specialization in hair loss. But if there are other ways that my story resonates with you and that you could use support in the confidence area and the empowerment to show up as the real you that you are, I'm happy to get on a call and have a conversation around that. But yeah, go
You have
ahead.
a website too?
It's in the works, but
Okay.
it will be hairlossbonita.com. I'm so excited and I can't wait. But in the meantime, I would suggest that you sign up for my email list, which is on one of the links of my Instagram Hair Loss Bonita page. So yeah, I have some things coming up, Ruby. You know me, that it has women with hair loss in mind, but also you all who may not be impacted by hair loss personally. But I want you to know that it takes a village, right? This is a community effort to end these stigmas because it's making so many women, so many people suffer, that not only the individual themselves that is suffering, but everyone around them. So if we all collectively get together and just do what we can to raise awareness, to end these stigmas, to be able to like hold space for people, it's going to make a huge difference. So with that, Ruby, thank you so much for being that, right, sort of like an ally, also a disruptor, having me here and giving me the platform to share about these stigmas that we don't talk about. My hope is that this is going to be, como te digo, like a snowball effect, that more and more people will want to have these honest conversations, because we need to create these brave and safe spaces for others who are struggling with things that we don't talk about, alone and in silence. Like, hopefully this will help them know that they're not alone and that there's a lot of support out there. So I'm excited to continue this conversation with you. Thank you so much, Ruby, again for, um, just for having me here. You know, I don't take this lightly. We're gonna connect after this, and I
Yes.
can't wait to meet you. And thank you all so much for tuning in. It means the world to me. If you would have asked me a few years back, um, do you know that you're going to be doing something around hair loss and empowering women all over the world? I would have said you are crazy and out of your mind. But here I am. It's truly, truly a privilege and an honor to support, women on this journey. So I hope that I get to work with you or your loved ones on, just reclaiming their confidence and
Yes.
living life, con ganas.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being the powerful warrior that you are, for sharing from your heart and spreading your magic everywhere, and just the love that you exude. I can't wait to connect with you in Chicago this summer. And I'm going to give you a huge abrazo, and I can't wait to talk for hours and just get to know you even more. So thank you again. Thanks everyone for coming. Because I'm working on the podcast, I'll just say that I probably will not be doing as many lives, not the weekly lives anymore. I'll probably go down to twice a month, or even possibly once a month. But in the fall, have a podcast that comes out weekly, just to be able to, put it out there to more people. And just to kind of organize myself a little better, to be truthful. But feel free to drop me a DM. Feel free to drop YoMo a DM, either through LinkedIn or on her Instagram. And I hope that everyone has a great week, and just think about, letting your hair down. And that's it. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Adios.